afternoon. This is Penelope Flynn here with the remainder of the Blerdsassins Next Door. We've got Cranston, James, Otto, and Nikki, and we are here on this beautiful September 21st, 2025 show to discuss our fairy tales, fantasies, and fables, those things that, kind of set the path for our morals and how we see the world. Before we get started on that, however, we are going to talk a little about the weather. And James, your top center, how is the weather in beautiful New York City?
Well, right now it's 69 degrees and it's partially sunny. It's a nice little, I guess, autumn chip or nip in the air.
How wonderful. I envy you. Otto, how's the weather?
Trying to stay out of the weather until fall comes here. So I think fall doesn't come here until like late October, but it's not 100 degrees, it's not 90 degrees, but it's bearable. A
All
lot of
right.
sun, a lot of sun.
All right. Okay. And I don't know if Nikki is still doing grocery lists, but if Nikki's not doing grocery lists,
I'm
we'll get
here. I'm
your
here.
okay,
I'm
get
here.
your take on the weather in sunny Southwest.
Well, it looks nice and sunny outside. The trees are green and the
Mm.
grass, whatever grass they have, is it's green. The sun is out and it's nice and cool in my room, though.
All right. Well, I'm happy for
That's
your
my
nice.
take.
That's your take. And
That's my
Cranston,
take.
you have like some of that volatile weather, not as bad as Sonia normally has, but Jacksonville's kind of volatile. How's the weather going?
It's right now. It hasn't cracked 90 all this week, and but
Wow.
it's upper 80s, so it's been bearable. They're looking at it as a cooling trend and clearing it fall already. So, but and no rain, so it's been pretty good so far.
We're great. So, with that out of the way, we're going to get moving into the topic, which is fairy tales, fantasies, and fables, our favorite ones. Because as we were looking at some of our current events, and sometimes that stuff can get you so down and depressed that we have to, kind of regroup, recenter. And some of the things we use to regroup and recenter are some of these stories, our fairy tales, our fables, those morality plays that, kind of separate us from the animals, so to speak. So we have to put out there, what is it such that you have them, fantasies, fairy tales, fables, that keep you on the straight and narrow or actually moving toward higher ground when things seem most bleak.
Well,
Anybody?
Uh,
I had a question: is exactly who are these fairy tales intended for? For two reasons. Number one, I was trying to look up a word to avoid an anachronism in something I was working on, and I couldn't find that there was any word for like toys, play, or something like that up until like
Mm.
the last 100 years or so. And I
Wow.
found out that it said that initially childhood was not like what we think of childhood today. Is that if you were a girl and you were like had hit puberty, you were getting married off, and if
Mm-hmm.
you were either working on the farm, and then the two really kind of gruesome things in, especially in Britain, where chimney sweeps were not like full-grown adults like Dick Van Dyke dancing around, but they were mostly kids
Mm-hmm.
because only people small enough to go through those chimneys. And after you got to be, as you got older, they would have you go through the chimneys naked, and there
What?
was no, yeah, and there was no OSHA around and everything, and so the coal dust would stick to every place on your body it could stick.
Wow.
So there was a lot of boys that had died from testicular cancer, and
Oh my
uh,
goodness.
going through.
Mm.
So when you see those old pictures in the 20s, the kids rolling a hoop with a stick through a pipe, going through there and stuff, that was the equivalent of like a PlayStation in those days. So,
Well, thank you, everybody. Good night.
All right.
no, well,
Yeah.
first of all,
Why you gotta be so rude?
Cool. I mean, yeah, that's kind of crazy though if you think about it. that
No,
children were like they weren't like you said, childhood wasn't what we see childhood as nowadays.
Yeah.
well, see, that's why they came up with child,
Child labor laws.
because I mean, in in America, you have factories where kids would get. I'm sorry, Nikki, but it had it where kids would get mangled and caught
Mm,
in machinery and stuff like that. But when it comes to fables and fantasy
Mm-mm.
stories like that, a lot of people don't know that what we read now, okay,
Mm-hmm.
those stories back then were a lot more darker and gruesome. You know, actually, I can remember. In fact, the reason why I got turned off from fables and stuff like that was I can remember sitting in PS 77 in my class, and our teacher read us what was it, The Little Mermaid,
mm-hmm.
and it horrified the hell out of me as a child because she
Mm-hmm.
was talking about how the mermaid had to decide, whether you were going to become human or stay a mermaid, and if you do, it's going to be problems. And it's one part where the mermaid leaves the water, but as she's walking, her feet are bleeding.
Mm.
And I'm as a little kid, I was like, "What? What? Her feet are bleeding." And so after that, I was like, "Nah, Hans Christian Andersen and the Grimm's brothers. Again, a lot of that stuff was a lot darker."
Mm-hmm.
And then you also have fables or fantasies or stories with morals
Yeah.
that I hate to say it, basically bullshit.
Like
Okay,
what, for instance?
like for instance, I cannot tell a lie.
Well, that's just a
Uh,
mythology,
yeah,
American mythology.
yeah. Well, it's still a lie because
Whose fable is
come to
that? George Washington's? Or what is that?
George Washington, and come to find out that whole story about him chopping down a cherry tree. I think it came like 50 years after he had died. His biographer came up with that.
Nobody
You know,
believes that garbage.
and but then you have the story of when George Washington and the troops were in they were in New Jersey because they got chased out of Brooklyn and New York by the British. It was supposedly something where the troops didn't have any food, and I think this was even before Valley Forge, and all of a sudden this river or stream that they were camped out at, all of a sudden it just was going crazy, and when they went down to the water to see what the commotion was, it was filled up with fish
Hmm.
to the point where the fish were jumping out of the I guess the river or stream. And that's how George Washington troops was supposedly, I guess, divinely fed.
So, what
Well,
is
my
there
fiance,
a real
huh?
story, or is that real or what?
No, it was just a story that was made up to make George Washington, I guess, not have feet of clay, so to speak.
Well,
Well, piggyback.
I think that maybe we getting off course a little bit because I thought we
No,
were
because
talking.
we're
I
talking
talked
about
about,
the fairy tales and
yeah, it's like Grimm fairy tales and
Mhm.
Aesop fables and not naked chimney sweeps and George
where they say
Washington
that.
being
Well,
chased out of
right,
Brooklyn.
right. Well, Cranston started out about who are these stories written for. We say that the childhood back in the day was not so great. So, is it written for children? Or are they written for adults?
No,
And
I think they were just cautionary tales that were written for children. You
no,
better you
no.
better behave yourself, or the boogeyman's gonna come, or in the case of Rapunzel, you better not lust after someone, or else you're gonna end up like the prince and become blind for a while before you can see again.
Huh. You think
I mean,
that that's the uptake of that? That don't lust over people, otherwise you will get blind.
Yeah, all of these are just
But he eventually does hook up with her again. But in the story, the way the story is,
mhm.
he knocks her up first.
Yeah.
I mean that's the thing they don't read to you in the children's version. But the real version, yeah, she gets pregnant before she comes down, and then they become this great couple.
Hmm.
It comes back after her. She is already um
Again, I think with these fairy tales, they may have started off as like I guess that era or times version of the Inquirer and the
mhm.
internet type of thing, but there came a time as time went on, and there was no such thing as real copyrights. A lot of these things that were published, I I think they just sanitized them.
Yeah, of course they were sanitized, because if you want to get them and share them with children, you're going to have to erase things. For instance, the fact that in Snow White, that the wicked, queen is, actually her mother, and in Hansel and Gretel, it's not stepmother; it's their mother was the one
Yeah.
who took them out, and they didn't have that in the versions that we read when we were children, and we only have now become aware of the fact that this is, the reality, that these much more harsh stories than we thought. But even in their harshness, are they better morality tales? What do you
Well,
think?
there's a thing. One of Stephen Sondheim's one of his top 10 plays is Into the Woods, and the first half of the story is one where you have all of these characters in the story going through all of these fairy tale things, Jack and the Beanstalk, Cinderella, so on and so forth. And in the end of the first half, everybody gets what they wanted to in the stories, and everybody lives happily ever after. The second half of the play, however, deals with all the consequences of all the things that happened in the first place, like
Mm-hmm.
the country is being terrorized by the giant's wife, who said, "Well, why'd you kill my husband?" And you think about it, Jack was actually stealing from them and was resented by the wife, and he like kind of betrayed them by doing that. And it's that the everything that all of these happy ever afters have consequences, and there are things that come later. So sometimes they're morality tales, or but they're those kind of stories where you say at the end, "But what was the point?" So
Yeah. Well. Now, which are the ones that you think of? Like, now, what was the point?
well, the point is, I think that I think as they mentioned at one point in the story that you're so busy pursuing your heart's desires that you don't think about what you have to do in order to get it. That it's like there's no such thing as a free lunch, and that's what it deals with. Those kind of things. I think one of the best lines from the play is when Cinderella finds out that her prince has been out squiring with everybody he can come across. And she asks him, why did he do it? And he just says to her, I was raised to be charming and not sincere.
Wow, that's lovely.
Yeah, and again, I think as time goes on, these fairy tales get interpreted differently. They were supposedly cautionary tales, although I will say that without a doubt, the first time I heard um what is it, Goldilocks and the Three Bears,
Hmm.
there was no ifs, ands, or buts. That's breaking and entering for me.
Right. As a kid too, I looked at, what are you doing, breaking into somebody's house and eating their food, you
Hmm.
know? And then you got the nerve to go. It's a privilege, what it is, right? It's a story about privilege.
Yeah.
Well, or you could say, well, she was homeless and hungry, and so can we really fault her for her behavior?
But as the police say, there's no excuse for the law.
Yeesh. I mean, but it's still, I mean, when you, okay, let's put it this way. Like you said, reading Goldilocks and the Three Bears, we all read that story pretty much and had the same feeling, I think. That we're like, what the heck are you doing breaking into someone's home? Why are
Yeah.
you eating up their food? Why are you
Yeah.
laying in somebody's bed after you ate up their food? Are you nuts?
Yeah.
I mean, do you
Adam,
have not have any sense? And
the,
it's like
an-
the essence of privilege, right?
they're animals, so you can do what you want.
Or the animals, so you can take whatever you want from them, right?
Yep.
Right?
There's no excuse for the law. No, no. You broke into their house.
Right?
Okay, whether they're animal,
The
human,
door was
mineral, or
unlocked.
vegetable.
The door was
Okay.
unlocked.
But she didn't suffer any negative consequence, correct?
No, she didn't. And see again, that's a fairy tale that, quite frankly, I don't understand the moral of the story. I don't get it.
Keep the door locked.
Maybe yeah, well, of course you're gonna say that,
Hmm.
Mr. Cynical.
What?
um,
Get a door lock. There you
You
go.
actually
yeah.
saying you calling me cynical?
Wait a
Huh?
minute, you're breaking up.
Yeah, yeah.
With James and Francis saying the things they're saying, they're calling me cynical?
Yeah, they call you cynical. That's right. Silly cynical guy.
Yeah, yeah, but yeah. Again, with some of these fairy tales, they're like really began at first with dark and creepy and
Hmm.
cynical. But then as time went on, and again, there was no such thing as copyright laws or anything like that. Um, Publishers, for all intents and purposes, they were in the public domain.
Hmm.
Okay, so it's probably a situation where one publisher thought, well, we're gonna redo these stories to make it more palatable for children.
Right, for children. But some of them are a little bit
Yes,
dark, right?
yeah,
And some very, very adult too.
yeah, yeah, and I mean, I would kind of say that the line maybe back then was blurred between adult and child entertainment too.
And you're right, because the line between adult and childhood was very, very thin. I mean, again, people having children very young, and also children having to work. And in fact, that's the reason why we have child labor laws. It's not because they wanted to protect children. It's because children were taking jobs away from adults, and so they sent
Yeah,
them to school so that the adults could have the jobs.
yeah, and as a child growing up in the, oh my God, in the 17th, 18th, 19th
Mhm.
part of the 20th century, you were lucky if you made it to become a teenager half the time.
Mhm.
I recently have been getting into like the stories of children of famous people,
Mhm.
and it's like, say certain presidents, half their children died in you know eh, there was some were stillborn, some didn't make it because of disease, some were lucky that they made it to be 10 years old. um
Mhm.
so with a lot of these stories, yeah, they were coming down through the centuries, they were, a lot of them were sanitized,
Well, wait a minute,
and
y'all. Wait a minute. This is supposed to be make us happy from all the bad news that we get. You mean to
So
tell
make us
me
happy then. So Otto, jump in and tell us what.
that, like,
Well,
like,
the
go
real
ahead, go ahead.
purpose fairy tales was just to make you feel lucky that we didn't leave you and leave you somewhere. Like one of the most gruesome ones is Hansel and Gretel, where their
Hmm.
mothers, first of all, died off for no reason at all, which was kind of suspicious. And his second wife comes along and says, "Well,
But
you got."
this, and the real Hansel and Gretel is not the second wife; it is the actual mother.
Oh, it was. Ooh, that's
Yes, it's the actual mother in the redone Grimm fairy tales, the unabridged versions. Yeah,
mhm.
it's the mom. They
Yeah,
Oh,
changed.
yeah. Our research shows that every time there's a stepmother reference, it's not really a stepmother at all. It's the actual mother.
wow. Okay, but the mothers had a good union back in those days.
It sure did.
But the version that I always read was it was, of course, it was a stepmother who, for no reason, which makes you wonder. But didn't you know you had these kids when you started seeing them or whatever?
Hmm.
And they go out and everything, and then the father agrees to it, which is also kind of, well, what about that? And they leave the kids out in the woods, and they and then they have a run of bad luck. They leave the breadcrumbs, and of course the birds eat the breadcrumbs. So okay, what's your next brilliant idea? Then they get to the witch's house where she's going to kill them, and she actually gets ready to put them in the oven. They throw her in the oven, so that makes
Hmm.
them, now they're homicidal kids, and they make their way back. And I think either the father kills the quote unquote stepmother, or she dies or runs off or something like that. And then he decides to be a good father, and they live happily ever after. But the thing is, they had to be sleeping in shifts because you never knew when he was going to bundle you up and take you out in the woods again. So,
As soon as he finds a new woman.
yeah.
Yeah, he'll be fine.
But the thing is like, listen, if you left me, number one, you got breadcrumbs, so you're not totally without food. That's one. And then number two is the fact that if you left me in the middle of a forest and I found a house made of food, I'm not coming home for a while.
Hmm.
I'm staying there. I probably may grow up as an adult. I may come back. I may be like 35 years old or something, you know.
Yeah, but you got to get rid of the witch first, and when you get rid of the witch, doesn't the
Oh yeah,
house
oh, no doubt. I'm getting rid of
doesn't
her.
the house like blow up or something?
Yeah, and also when you do return as an adult, you're gonna have diabetes too because
Yeah, yeah, all that sugar,
No, why you gonna have diabetes?
the cookies and the candy that the house. But then by the time you get halfway through your teens, you'll have eaten the house by then.
Yeah, yeah, and exactly. You could put that witch in the oven and cook her, eat her ass.
Yeah,
That's all
it is.
right. That's okay.
That's
So you
me.
go without that, huh?
That's
Yeah, I
me.
think I'm in the forest. I'll find a deer or something to eat. I'm
But
sorry.
you never know what a witch tastes like. It may taste good.
oh my
I
goodness.
will never find out either. I guess I'll
I
never
would.
know.
I would. You know why? Because I got no.
You greedy.
I no. I got no levels. I got no levels because I was left out in the forest.
Yeah.
Like I said, in the forest you have deer and everything else
No,
running
ain't no
around.
deer. What do you think
You
this
don't know
is?
that?
Do you know
Oh
how to
yeah.
kill a deer?
If there were
I
deer, that'd be another
learned.
story. Ain't no
Yeah,
deer.
because the parents would have killed the deer and eaten them, right?
Yeah,
I think.
exactly.
I
Ain't no
think.
deer. Y'all trying to insert new stuff in there, and it's not.
You know what? Just for that, everybody, I'm going to mute myself again. Goodbye. I'm muted. My feelings are hurt.
Okay. All
My
right. Here we
feelings are
go.
hurt.
Well,
You
that's what
already moved it. You already
is
moved it. You already
what
moved it.
about those stories is every few years they're kind of like those origin stories in comics. That every generation they redo the origin of all the superheroes. So every few years, those fairy tales get modified for the time they're in to kind of reinforce whatever the narrative is at that time. That's like the running joke in Ghost, where the American version of Ghost, where Hetty was who came from the Gilded Age and stuff, would always talk about how many children they had working in their sweatshops and factories. So
Okay.
Well, you kind of hit the nail on the head in that um in the here and now, fairy tales, fables, you know, that's what you find in like comics, you know.
every tale has a moral ending or something, right?
Well, I mean, supposed to.
Yeah,
Supposed to. I mean, do you think?
unless you're from South Korea and then you're K drama, then it's no maybe not so much.
Yeah, those are great.
But what about the ant and the grasshopper? I mean, we talk about fables, right? Ant and grass.
Yeah. Now
Okay,
the
so
ant. Go ahead. Go ahead.
everybody knows the ant and the grasshopper. And the ant worked
Mm-hmm.
really hard throughout the summer. The grasshopper just sat on his ass and just watched the ant. And and the ant worked and worked and worked and put all his food away during the summer and during the fall. The grasshopper's like, no man, why don't you chill? Stop working so hard. And the ant like, you better work too, or you're gonna starve during the winter. And then the winter comes, and then the grasshopper like starves, and the ant is like chilling on the ground, eating everything they worked hard for. So how is that a bad story, y'all?
No, it's not. It's not a bad story. Nobody said that all stories from back then are dark or creepy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. In fact, for all we know, the original version of the ant and the grasshopper could have ended with the grasshopper busting through the ant's door and choking him to death. And
Hey, look at that. This is not Brownsville. This is like an ant and a grasshopper.
Well, one that I always thought was kind of one about steadfast Tin soldier, where he was this
Oh
tin
yeah. Yeah.
only.
When I was a kid, I don't know what the
Yeah,
hell is this.
yeah, that's what it did. Steadfast Tin soldier only has one leg. Boy
Yeah.
injury, he did whatever, and he fell in love with this ballerina that was on the other side of the toy chest or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
because he only had one leg too. But what he did not know was she only appeared to have one leg because that was the pose she was in, and the other leg
Mm-hmm.
was touching the shoulder blade or something like that. And I don't know what happens with all the other stuff that goes in between it, but in the end of the story, somehow or another, they both get melted down, and then
Yeah.
they end up being together in the end, kind of like the end of Star Trek, the motion picture and stuff, with
Mm-hmm.
the go off or whatever like that. But I always thought that was really a sad story. This guy spends his entire life, pining for this woman, and maybe if she had seen that, hey, if she could see both of his legs from the other side, no telling what she was thinking about. So
Well, I gotta
what?
tell you, I think that story when at the end it's just some goblin was supposedly in there doing some bad stuff, stirring things up. I think this is also Hans Christian Andersen, correct?
I
And
think so. Yeah.
and so this child takes the tin soldier for no reason and throws him into the fire. And so he is melting away and watching the little ballerina. And somebody opens a window, and she's made of paper. And so she flies off of her perch wherever she is sitting up on the mantle and flies into the fire where she is immediately, you know, consumed. And of course, when they go in, they clear out the ashes, they find like the little tin heart left behind. So, in that, and I don't know if it's supposed to be telling people about, you know, unrequited love or blah, blah, blah. That even, if you don't get, the love that you want the way that you want it, maybe it will come by some other way, you know, through this act of sacrifice that this ballerina didn't have to do. She could just remain standing up there on the mantle and didn't have to, prove, that she was as enamored as he was by throwing herself into the fire, knowing what the result would be, as he knows what the result would be with himself. So that's
Um,
if you look at it in that way.
um,
That, boys and girls, is why we invented psychology, because there were a lot of disturbed people back in those days.
I
Yeah,
think a lot of Hans
and
Christian Andersen stories are like that. They also
yeah,
a lot of them are like, you know, I got to prove myself to somebody, or the ugly duckling story. All those stories like that are like, I got to prove myself to these other group of people, and then I become redeemable or something.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, yeah, and
So, like, so I mean,
my
what do you think? Which one you saying? I like
Like
that.
that story you just told, and Ugly Duckling.
Well, yeah, but Ugly Duckling's a terrible story. I think. I mean, I understand. I understand what it's doing. Saying that things may not work out for you when you're very young, but if you continue and suffer a whole lot and alone and
You can just
treated
be white.
poorly, yeah, and then no, you get to go to where the not, it's the thing I thought was the saddest about it is that when he sees the swans, that he runs over to where they are and says, I just want to be around. Even if y'all kill me, that's okay because it's okay even to be killed by you and just to be in your presence. And then they say, "Hey, what are you talking about? You're one of us. You're not one of those ducks. You're actually a swan. Pretty much all along." So I don't know. There's two ways I think that you can take this story. One is that if you wait it out long enough and suffer, and then you'll finally find your tribe, right? That accepts you and loves you for who you are. Or it's that I mean, do you think that's what it is? Do you think it's something else?
Well,
I
it's possible that that's what the Hans Christian Andersen was trying to do, to have you look at his stories, two different ways, um,
Mhm,
to make to make you think,
mhm,
think so.
so to speak. It's possible. Um, but one thing I will say is we talk about the Brothers Grimm's and Hans Christian
mhm.
Andersen,
Yes.
but just basically in other societies in other parts of the world, you have these stories, you know, that some are cautionary tale,
Mhm,
um, and some are just plain stories to make people feel better, and some are
mhm,
stories that scare the hell out of you. I mean, there's a show on here in New York where the woman, she likes to do a lot of reading of short stories, and she read a story from China, which was totally a Debbie Downer because this fisherman catches this, I guess, fish that's really a mermaid, and she's like, "Oh, thank you." And here's, I think she gave him a chest or something, and she said, "As long as you don't open this chest up, you're gonna have riches, and
mhm,
you even will have me as your bride. Just don't open the
mhm,
chest up." And of course he does,
mhm,
but then when he does, things change to the point where he doesn't recognize his surroundings, and he goes to a village and he asks questions and come to find out basically he's died. Okay,
yeah,
100 years ago.
Died 100 years ago.
Yeah, and all because all this happens because he opened up the chest.
I mean, you know what? There are hundreds of stories like that.
yeah, yeah.
You know that guy's going to open that chest. You
Yeah,
absolutely, unequivocally know that
yeah,
he's going to do what he was told not to do.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
almost back to like biblical times, like Lot's wife.
Don't look back.
Don't
Or
look
the story of
back.
Pandora's box. Don't open a
Yeah.
box.
These
yeah.
cautionary, these really cautionary tales, like don't do that, and then they
Hmm.
go out and they do that.
They do that.
Then they suffer whatever the consequence was and say, "See, we told you so." So there's a whole "see, we told you so"
Yeah,
type of stories that don't do that thing,
yeah,
and because if you do it, things are going to happen to you that are bad.
yeah. That's like the other day I went to my doctor and I said that my doctor, I told him, I said, "Listen, my arm hurts when I raise my arm like this." He said, "Well, then don't do it."
They don't do that.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's an old vaudeville joke. Thank you for that peeling
Thank you very much for that.
peeling that off.
Yeah.
He said,
Actually, very
Boom,
"Doctor,
boom.
interesting.
doctor, would I ever be able to play the piano again?" And the doctor said,
Ever play
"Yeah,
the piano?
yeah." They said, "Wow, that's great because I never played it before."
Yeah.
Yes.
And the cool thing about it is that there was a show that brought a lot of this stuff into perspective, and that was Bullwinkle and Rocky. Okay, with their fraction fairy tales.
Yeah, yeah, I love those. Didn't you?
Because it was seen through the eyes of the 1960s.
Cynic.
Hmm.
Yeah. I mean, it was very interesting because we're just now talking about Anderson and his writing and stuff, and how it was that he was friends, I think, or some friends with Charles Dickens. And I read this article about Anderson, and it was just so freaking sad. I mean, it said that he was an individual who just was desperate to be loved, desperate to be loved, and
It
he
shows
was
in his
always,
stories. I think it shows
yeah,
in his.
yeah, desperately seeking love all the time. And as a result, he was kind of a pariah. Not many people liked. Said he's a very unattractive guy. But when this thing I just posted about with Charles Dickens said that he went to visit him. It was supposed to be for a quote unquote fortnight, and then he ended up staying there for 5 weeks, and then it's kind of like don't
Shit.
ever come back. You know, a short visit turned
Kick your
into
ass.
go
Kick your
home.
ass.
Go
Did you
home.
leave? Did you leave the cap off of the toothpaste tube again?
Again.
Who drank the
Yo,
last of the orange juice in my refrigerator?
Yeah,
yo, I don't even use a toothbrush. I just get the toothpaste directly out of the tube and
yeah.
apply it
There you
to my
go.
teeth.
Yeah. Okay. Great. But they said that he was a very, as quote unquote, socially awkward individual, and it was just a very difficult life for him.
It
As
shows
he,
in his stories. I
yeah,
mean, Ugly Duckling, Thumbelina, The Little Mermaid, all these stories
hmm
are like I could change to be what you want me to be.
right.
Well,
And,
there's
and they said that with Uriah Heep and David Copperfield, that is supposed to be that obsequiousness, that type of character is supposed to have been Hans Christian
I
Andersen,
could change.
based on him.
I could change.
there's a scene in the movie version with Danny Kaye
Hmm.
that explains a lot now because at one point Danny Kaye, I think he's talking, he sees a little boy and the children are teasing the boy by taking his cap off and rubbing his head because for some reason the boy has no hair.
Hmm.
And I think he sits down and explains to the boy the story of the ugly, duckling.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, yep,
Yeah,
yep.
I'm not loved now, but if you wait long enough, I could shape myself to something that you could possibly love.
Hmm. Yeah.
So and that's just give me enough time. So I came to your place and I said I'm going to stay for like 3 days, but you didn't give me the love that I thought that I deserved or something. So I wound up staying for like 3 months, and then I'll make you love. I'm gonna make you love me.
Yes,
Yes,
I
yeah.
will. I mean,
No,
but I think it's kind of a sad thing, when somebody is so desperate for love, and people find them to be, say, obsequious. But it's just that, and he's not an attractive person, and doesn't know when to stop, because once he gets, that little taste of acceptance and love, he doesn't know how to back off and just let it come to him. It becomes like a leech, a love leech. I'm just getting on it and I'm sucking it all out, as much as I can. Okay, it's enough now.
Well, that's the ugly duck. Wait,
he was,
the ugly duckling is a duck. You're a duck. A duck can't turn into a swan.
But that's the whole point, is that he was never a duck, never a duck. He was always a swan.
I thought he
He
was
just
always a duck.
No, he was a swan. He was a swan.
He was born into a duck family.
He was a swan chick that made him, for some reason, ended up with the ducks. He was not a duck ever.
You don't think he was ever? I thought he was always
No, no, it was
a duck.
always the swan. And baby swans, they're like goslings. They're not very attractive. They aren't like cute and fluffy.
yeah.
And so he was, but to those things, the ducks, he was unattractive to them. But if he was with swans, he would have been, just normal.
I
Kind of like that episode of the Twilight Zone.
Exactly. Was it the Twilight Zone, or was it the what's the other thing? I think it's Twilight Zone, or
Which one?
Night Gallery, either
Which one?
one. I know there's an episode like you're talking
Which
about, where the
Yeah, that
guy is real ugly, 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 ugly.
Ellie
Yeah.
Mae?
Well, the
no,
one with Ellie
actually,
Mae, yeah.
yeah, that's what I'm talking about with Ellie Mae.
Oh, I was talking about the one that ugly, 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 and he is here and he's really ugly in this world. And then his father, who's a really rich man, contacts some other dimension. And so this guy from the other dimension comes to our dimension, and then he goes to their dimension. And the guy from here looks like the people from their dimension, and they think, oh, he's so good looking. And the good looking guy from their dimension comes to our dimension, and he looks at the guy, and the one who's ugly, 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 and he says, "Man, you got it all. Basically, you're so fortunate, because you're so good looking, and the good looking guy is coming over because he's, ugly where he's from. But the thing I look at is that, okay, the guy is ugly, ugly, ugly here, and the other people that he's, good looking. But if he looks at their women look as ugly as he does. So how's he gonna like them if he's been groomed to hate what he is? Huh?
A three bagger, Penelope.
I'm just saying, how is he going to love who he is? You know,
He's not.
I mean, but even to love them because he looks like them. So
he's gonna
if he, like, for instance, like again, the Twilight Zone one, where
Ellie Mae.
Ellie Mae, right, Ellie Mae is in it. That she looks at this person, and the doctor, and that he's, to her good looking or whatever. And when she comes out of the thing and takes her the mask off or whatever, and she takes her bandages off, you see what she looks like, what we would consider good looking. But even if she has to go live with those other people, she don't think they look good. She's like, why you put me out here with these ugly folks?
That's true.
Excuse me, Otto and Penelope. I'm ordering lunch from Norma's. Would you all like anything?
Why you ask us on Norma on the thing? You can just send us a text.
Because
Will you mute this lady? Penelope, please mute.
Oh,
Yeah, you can. Should have sent a text about Norma's, man.
She's making a fool.
so wait a minute. They get lunch and the rest of us
What the
don't.
hell's going on?
If you
Yeah,
were
exactly.
Here, I would order for y'all too. If you all were
Please.
here, I'd order for
Yep.
everybody.
Use your
That-
position.
That's the other end of the fairy story and stuff.
Yeah.
On the other
Yeah.
end. So,
Children that don't get lunch.
that's
What y'all
right.
get.
Now, would y'all like, because Stone ordered some.
Will you please
I'm
not?
not, I ain't nobody talking to you. Stone
Will you
ordered
please?
some mushrooms already
Will
for you all.
Okay,
God.
that's lovely.
God,
So, Otto, would you like
I never heard
anything?
anything. No, I don't want nothing.
You don't want no chicken fried steak?
Will you get
Chicken
out
fried,
of here?
chicken fried chicken with the white gravy on it? You don't want that?
Oh
God,
my
Well,
yeah.
God. Oh, Lord.
And
No,
so
I'm
then the
look,
fairy
look, you all.
godmother
I'm
put in the
hungry.
orders.
I didn't eat breakfast yet, and I'm
Penelope,
like,
your guy-
I'm gonna order
your
me
guy
something from
hijacked.
Norma's, and I don't want to order it if I can't get stuff
Oh
for
my
everybody
God.
else in the house.
Make it
All right,
stop.
thank you. It's very nice of you.
You
We
know,
appreciate it very much, but they
Okay.
don't
Make
think
it
the Normas.
stop.
what 3 sides do you want with that, Penelope? You
Okay,
get
now
3
let's get
sides.
on. Let's move on to our next
Wait, you get 3
topic.
sides with that.
Oh,
Um,
God. Oh, Lord, help me.
You want the corn? You want the corn, the buttered corn?
For God's sake, what do you tell her what you want? Tell her what you
well, no,
Please.
we will contact her by text
Oh
or some
my
other means or
God.
email.
Or did you want just all?
Let's stop talking.
Oh, God.
And the moral of the story is
Yes.
It never stops.
I thought I was being nice.
Oh,
We
shit.
appreciate your niceness.
Your name is Han Christian
White.
Anderson.
Yeah, you're a very nice person.
Oh, my God.
Yes, you are a great
Oh,
person. and we
God.
love you very much.
but
All right, moving right along. Oh,
Say, okay. How about
What the hell was that?
what?
well, it brings us to the other point about fairy tales. The fairy tales
How you
really
start talking about fairy tale all of a sudden that's what happened? Oh,
What?
my God.
Get back in the game, Otto. Get
Oh,
focused.
my God. My mind is blown.
I'm gonna leave now and order this stuff because I know I'm not wanted here anymore.
Oh, God.
Just tell me your three sides though, because just text me the three sides. That's all I want.
All right, lovely. Okay,
All
okay.
right.
Now with this. Okay. Now
Bye.
you're saying that what we with the bad what you call it, but think about the things that even if they're bad, are they giving us a good moral a morale? It's a good morality play. There's a helping
Well,
us
look at
stay
this
on the
one.
straight and
I
narrow.
guess.
For instance, like my the Otto knows, like we both have some grim fairy tales that we like. Your for Otto's, are you gonna tell it the Master Thief that one?
Yeah, I mean, I know it. I haven't read it in a while, but it's basically the master thief comes. He grows up to be a master thief, which is like a criminal, and he comes back to his parents, and he basically blames his parents for not guiding him, and saying that his life is like a tree that grows without any sort of guidance, and so a tree that grows without any guidance tends
Hmm.
to grow, everywhere, crooked, sideways, up and down, blah blah blah. And so it's kind of a I guess a lesson in parenting. If you have to give your, it's not saying spare the rod, spoil the child, but it's kind of adjacent to that. Basically, that your children need some sort of guidance, and growing up, because if they don't have guidance, they're gonna, they're likely to, be persuaded to go anywhere,
Hmm.
where the sun shines, or where the
Hmm.
building is, and go up a building, and then it could be cut down, and so I like
Yeah,
that a lot, because
but yeah,
I think it's really true.
yeah. But the
Okay,
thing I
well,
like about the Master Thief is that when he comes to this house, number one, they do not recognize him because he is wealthy. He's got nice clothes, kind of put together, and it's not that the parents actually get their act together. It's the child, to me, that is important because he understands that you didn't do your job because these people, the type of people that are swayed by the fact that he comes in dressed, you know, in fine clothing and blah blah
Right,
blah. They don't
right.
know who he is as he's, telling a story of what he is and what he does. To explain, how in that your yard you have a tree that's upstanding and you got a tree that's like well wild and gnarly because you didn't train it. You didn't cut it. You didn't do the things you should have in order to make this
You didn't
tree.
prune it. You
Yeah,
didn't
prune it,
do.
nothing. And this is what happens to your children and how they become they become a master thief because they're not well raised. So I thought it was good
uh,
because
Did he
it's
kill
like
them at the end?
I don't believe he killed them. I think he just
Oh,
but he just kind of let them know that you look at this and from your eyes, basically to show up dressed like this, like a coach or whatever, that oh boy, this is really great because all you see is the outside. You did not do the job of a parent to make certain that I will grow up to be an upstanding individual.
right.
Mhm. So yeah,
So,
I like that. Hmm.
so is that the idea that the ultimate thing of these of fairy tales are to, in one way or another, to reinforce the establishment, to back them up, to say, okay, well, this is what is the result of this, or this is what happens if you don't do this, or if you do this, this is the consequence that you either suffer or the reward that you get.
Hmm.
It's really weird because, as Penelope said, the guy comes back, from, he grows up and he has all these worldly
Hmm.
material things, but the way that he got them is kind of
Hmm.
salacious. So it's like he has this stuff which everybody admires, but he's not really happy with the way that he accumulated this wealth.
Right. Yeah, and so I think, I'm looking out at the world and feeling hollow and empty because I know something is wrong with
so
me.
so what
Wrong.
what is it? He's a thief, right?
Hmm.
So what is he blaming the parents because for what he is? Is that
No, I
the
mean, I think kind of, I'd say blaming them, yeah, in a way, saying that yes, from the outside it looks like this is success, but internally, that a person who is like this gnarled tree, is it important to have these things from the outside that people think are wonderful when your child is this gnarled tree, you
Yeah,
know?
well? Well, this story, I must say, is kind of interesting to me because one thing I try to do in my writing, especially with horror and all of, horror, is that I kind of show that there's no real thing as black and white. Okay, no either or. We live in a world that has one big gray area.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? So that story kind of resonates with me because here he is a thief,
Mm-hmm.
but at the same time he's letting his parents know via a severe reprimand that you know you guys didn't do a good job
Yeah.
of bringing me up, and I'm a thief, and I'm back just to let y'all know it because you guys seem a lot, materialistic.
Yeah.
You know
It's
what's
a.
like? You ever see the
Mm-hmm.
movie Angels with Dirty Faces?
Yeah,
Yeah.
And
Love
remember when
that film.
Humphrey Bogart gets a. It's almost like the Master Thief because the Humphrey Bogart character gets plastic surgery to change his face
Mm-hmm.
because he doesn't want to be recognized by the cops.
you
And then he
sure you're
goes,
not talking about Dark Passage?
no, no,
Mm-mm.
no, no,
Angel
no.
Dirty Faces.
Angel
Oh,
with Dirty Faces. So he gets plastic surgery. He comes back to the hood, so to speak, and
mm,
with the Bowery boys are there, and he comes back and he meets his mom, and his mom first his mother doesn't recognize him because he had plastic surgery, and then she recognizes who he is, and he's in this great suit, tailored suit, and all this kind of stuff, and she hates him and slaps the crap out of him.
Yeah. And she hauls off and just slaps him in the face.
but see,
And
what I would like to know is all of this that the brothers Grimm and Hans
mhm.
Christian Andersen, all this work that they did, was it at any time in conflict with the established church?
I'm sure some of it may have been because what they were doing is gathering up all the old folk tales. And folk tales a lot of times are not exactly, squaring with the religion. I think
Right,
that Hans Christian Andersen, he kind of stayed kind of close, I think, to, church doctrine.
Judeo-Christian, what you
Yeah,
call
he did. And I mean, it's interesting because this kind of comes, I don't know, like, I guess tangential to like my favorite uh grim fairy tale, which is Hans in Luck. And I've said that before, that it is this story. And I think, and I was telling Otto a while back that it's this tale that as I'm reading it as a girl and I'm a kid reading the story, that in my mind I think I know what's going to happen. I'm This guy has worked all year and he gets his pay. So he gets his all his money and he's going to go home to his mother, which is what he's been waiting to do this entire year, to go home to his mother. So he stops off, and some guy has a horse or something. So, oh man, it'd be great to me to ride home on a horse. So he trades his money and he buys a horse. So he rides the horse, and then he doesn't know really how to ride a horse. So the horse ends up throwing him, and he is recovered by some guy who's got a cow. He says, you know what? It'd be a great thing for me to get rid of this horse. This horse is no good, but if I had a cow, the cow could, give milk, and then I get a butter and cream and stuff, and then eventually, it's old, you could use it and cook it or whatever. This is great. So he makes that deal and trades down the cow. And so by every time he stops, he is basically trading down to the point where it's a goat and a duck and all this stuff, and finally he trades his duck or goose, whatever the goose, for a what you call
Mills,
it, a sharpening.
Mills,
We call the sharpening wheel, the
so
wheel
Mills,
to sharpen the knives, and a sharpening whetting stone, a giant whetting stone. So if I had this, then I could take this whetting stone and I could use it, and I wouldn't have to leave home anymore. I could travel and go places and sharpen people's knives and always have and make a living. Wonderful. So he gets this whetting stone and he's trying to walk home with it, but it's really heavy. He doesn't have any transportation, so eventually he gets close to a well and he sits the whetting stone up on the lip of the well while he tries to lean down, drop the bucket, and bring up some water. So as he's leaning down, trying to get the water, he knocks the whetting stone over into the water, So now the last thing that he purchased is now at the bottom of the well. And so I am reading the story. Okay, of course he's gonna like curse his fate and blah blah blah. Instead, he drops down to his knees and he thanks God for relieving him of this terrible burden. And he goes home to his mother happy. And I was so blown away by that as a kid because if you grow up in a family where everything is about uh, success and drive, motivation, getting this, getting that, sometimes things that are superficial, other things just status, whatever it is, that a person goes through all this and they have lost everything of quote unquote value. But what was the thing that he wanted when he left? He wanted to go home to his mother. And so now I no longer have the burden of this heavy ass stone, so I can hurry home and get back home to my mother. So I was always amazed by that story. I still, kind of in my mind turn it over and over every now and then that we are so caught up with all these material things and even as he is getting loss after loss, he sees every loss not as a loss but as an even exchange as he's going through these things. And then finally to lose quote unquote everything, but he's okay because everything only led to going back home, to his mother. So I've always loved that story. I every time I hear it, I'm verklempt. When he loses that wedding stone, the last of the value that he has, and that's it, and it's gone. But instead of being, oh no, I don't have anything, that he drops to his knees and thanks God. You know, I thought, wow, wow, that always stuck with me.
Well, do you think that a story like that, um, who wrote this? Hans Christian Andersen or
It is a grim fairy tale.
okay,
Yeah.
Grimm's Fairy Tale? Do you think maybe that the a story like that and other stories that they wrote were trying to they were trying to appeal to a more secular audience?
I maybe, but at
I,
the end,
I
when he drops down and he,
thanks
praises
God,
God for,
but
for
you
taking
don't
away
see a lot of
this heavy burden.
you don't see God making a whole lot of appearances in grim fairy tales.
No, but I tell you this thing, it's like when you think about it, and like I said, everything to him is like this even exchange for this wealth, and it's like when wealth becomes a burden, you know, we continue, dragging it, with us and
What
being
message is that?
unhappy,
Do you
you
think
know.
wealth can become a burden?
Hmm?
Do you think wealth can become a burden?
Yeah, I think it can become a burden. And people have to know when to stop when your wealth has become a burden and you can't even tell that it's become a burden. That I think that's the problem when
But you just
people,
keep accumulating stuff or something,
yeah,
or
yeah, or making like him making what you perceive to be an even exchange, but all these things are burdens and things that you can't handle. Like he didn't know how to ride a horse, he could not make the cow move. It came off the road and would not do what he wanted to do. These are things that he was not equipped to handle. And sometimes you got to know when it's time to let go.
well, I like the story of the Aesop fable
Hmm.
of the fox and the grapes.
Hmm.
With the fox trying to get the grapes.
And
Hmm.
they couldn't get the grapes, and at the end, he said, "Well, they were probably sour
Yeah,
anyway."
sour grapes.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I mean, the thing is, when people tell the sour grape story, it's like it's six in one hand, half a dozen in the other, right? Because on the one hand, you can say, "Look at him; he's just a real jerk because he couldn't get the grapes, so now he says that they were sour." But if I can't have the thing, why should I be eating myself up about what I couldn't have and how sweet and wonderful it was? What is the point of me doing that?
So you had to change your mindset. So that's the way you change your mindset. Like you can't achieve something. You just like not necessarily demonize it, but make it like it's not worth having.
No, I think I think I think it's more like just a demonization of it, of pettiness. You can't get it, so now you a hater type
Right.
of thing.
Yeah.
You know.
Yep.
Yeah. But what am I going to do? Stand at the bottom of the vine, sitting there and desiring it and wanting it, not being able to get it. For what reason? Just meh, meh. But I guess the opposite. The other option is to just say meh, can't reach it. I'm not gonna. I just go on
Yeah,
to something else.
yeah.
Which is
I
sad.
can't get it. Let me move on. Maybe I'll find
A lower
uh
rate
yeah, a
later.
lower.
What do
Yeah,
you what
you
Yeah.
know.
you think people do that now in today's society where they can't achieve certain things, they're not the certain status or education or material things, and they just say, well, it's not worth having, and the people that have it are horrible people or something, or
Hmm.
No,
Yeah,
because
maybe that too. That too.
nowadays what we do is just say that we were cheated out of it because somebody less qualified got it for some other reason, whether it's
Yeah,
DEI or
yeah, yeah.
different.
Or
But
it was rigged.
yeah,
it,
Yeah.
those grapes are just fine, and somebody just took them from me.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's. I mean, or you can say it's. But I guess in a way, if you look at something and think, I really want this thing. Like, for instance, I would like to play center for the New York Knicks, but the probability is that with my very limited height and ball handling capabilities, that's not a thing that is ever going to happen. I mean, I'm not going to handle Patrick Ewing in the low post. That's not going to ever happen. Okay. He can be in a wheelchair and, he will still, be housing me down there. So, yeah, we know this. So, do I run around? Oh, I wish I could play basketball. I'm not gonna ever play basketball like that. Never. So I can just, if it's gonna plague me so much, then you got to do what you got to do to disengage yourself from your own obsession, whatever it is. You know, he's not
Is it
gonna. He didn't
is
throw
it like
rocks at the grapes. He just left.
wait just let is it like the kid that doesn't get chosen for a game and then takes his ball and goes home?
No, but he takes the ball. This one didn't take the ball. He just goes home. He didn't have no ball.
He don't have anything.
No, he's nothing.
He's leaving with what he came with.
That's right.
Nothing.
An
You
appetite.
get nothing.
Thank you, Mr. Wonka. This, but yeah, but you don't. You just whatever it takes for you to end your obsession and move on. I think you know. Sometimes you got to do
Tell
whatever it
yourself
takes.
whatever tell yourself whatever it takes to
Yeah,
move on.
to move on because it's not going to help you to sit there and say, boy, I sure wish that I could do this. Even if I practiced every day, I'm not going to become, Patrick Ewing. That's
He's
not
never
happening.
gonna get those grapes, right?
And he's never going to get it. I mean, he might wait until they wither and fall down on the ground, but is that what you wanted?
At least he'll be eating raisins.
He didn't want raisins, he wanted grapes.
What are grapes? He's
Yeah,
gonna get
so I
Well,
mean,
if
it.
you
he
wait
can't get the grapes, he's gonna have to eat the raisins if he can't get the grapes.
or move on to something else that he can
Yeah.
get.
That's
But
true.
they're probably sour anyway.
Yeah, meh. I
And
mean,
what
I think.
about
Go
go ahead.
on.
I said, what about Androcles and the lion? Is that Aesop?
That is a fable, yeah. Except fable.
So
So,
it's like, yeah.
uh-huh. I always like the story of Androcles and the Lion. It's a very nice story, but I have come to understand that we have way too many Calvinists in this world for me to take any chances.
What do you
You
mean
know,
by that? What do you mean by that?
what I mean is that we know how Calvinism is all around us now. It's just rising up, everywhere.
The chosen
Individuals
few.
who believe there's a Christian, I'll call it sect, that believes that all people who are going to be saved or anointed by God, that is determined by God at birth or whatever, and that it doesn't matter whether you even know the religion, come to know the religion, are converted to the religion, a practitioner of the religion. If you're not a person that God has anointed, it doesn't matter. You will not be saved anyway. And I think they have like 5 tenets or something like that. So basically, what it comes down to is that you're walking through your life and there's somebody, so a rich man in need, powerful man in need, something's hurt him, and you stop and you help them and do what you can, like the Good Samaritan type story, correct?
Yeah.
And then that person's response to you is, well, you're supposed to do that anyway. I mean, that's your job in life, is to do things to please me, to help me, to take care of me. I am not grateful because I don't owe gratitude to you. Because if you were a person to whom I would owe gratitude, then God would have anointed you like they anointed me and made you like me.
So
So
you're saying um, you're gonna go to hell anyway. So why the hell should I care about you?
exactly, exactly. And we live in a world where we're told, oh, you treat someone kindly, you do these things for them, powerful people, status people, rich people, whatever, and that maybe they will see the good works that people who are not like them do, and they will thereafter become changed. Their hearts will be changed. That is not what has been happening.
You don't think that's true?
I when I was a younger person, I did. I do not now. I look around me and I see there are people who will justify every level of atrocity by saying how anointed they are. I mean, witness the Catholic priests that molested all those children. And I'm certain that they rationalized, that they were servants of God and therefore they should be able to take what little comfort, quote unquote, that they desire with these people who were not, anointed, chosen, who did not
Mm-mm-mm.
make the sacrifices that they did in order to follow and serve God in the way they decided to do it. So, yeah, I believe that a lot of people in this world are truly Calvinist in their thought process, in their fake spirituality.
So
You know,
it sounds like there's a need for fables now.
Yeah.
yes, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, it would be wonderful if these people could read just the Androcles and the lion and be moved by it. That when the time comes and this slave Androcles is thrown into the lion's den and he is, being sacrificed for his having run away or whatever it was that he did in order for this to happen to him, and that the lion remembers him and refuses to eat him because he is his friend. He saved him. He took the pain away from him. And I would wish that that would be a thing that people would actually do. I recall that you have done this good thing for me, so I will
I'm going
not
to
harm
reciprocate.
you.
Yeah. I'm
I
going
mean,
to.
look at the people like, Elon Musk, who's got his car company, Tesla, and all the people, left leaning individuals who bought his car,
Hmm.
bought this that made him, millions, maybe billions of dollars. But he sought, to do everything in his power to injure the very same people who made him a millionaire, billionaire, maybe. So I don't see that. I mean, people are you could look at that lion and say, "Oh, he killed Androcles," in the arena. Well, that wasn't very nice. But you know what? That's wasn't very nice. But you wouldn't think a second thing about it. You wouldn't kill the lion or anything. He just come out and kill somebody else next time. You
Right.
know.
Right. Well,
So,
yeah. I mean, I think maybe we do need like a retelling of these fairy tales and fables.
hmm
'Cause I think people need some sort of guidance. It's almost like the master thief you were talking about.
hmm
I don't think people have any guidance.
yeah, yeah,
No,
agreed.
guidance has left the building a long time
hmm
ago. Just
Yeah,
like critical thinking has left the building a long time ago.
right.
Common sense took its hat and left
Fact.
with them too.
But don't you think
hmm
that people want it? It's just not there. I mean, left the building, but people want some sort of guidance, and they'll cling on to anything that would give them some structure or guidance. And so that's why you have a lot of these conspiracy theories and stuff like that, because there is no guidance as to what is crossing the line and what is in the normal vein of things.
Yeah, yeah. I think you're absolutely right. There's a lack of guidance. That's why you get the conspiracy theory that not only JFK but JFK Jr. and Martin Luther King were to show up at Dealey Plaza a couple of years ago.
Yeah, that's
You know,
insane.
you know.
And along with Abraham Lincoln, I guess, and
Yeah,
it's just that doesn't make any sense. It's like you don't have any guidance. You don't have any structure in your life where it says, you know, that's not a possibility. So I'm not going to let my brain go that way.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, yeah, exactly. And
I,
maybe I could be wrong, but even if you were to bring back fables and stories with morals and all of that there, and if you were to bring them back in some type of form or on some platform, these days you would have people that would go in on it um with social media. So
Mm-hmm.
what do you mean? They would say negative stuff about it?
yeah, yeah, yeah. The story about the thief and coming back
Yeah.
and chastising, his parents. Somebody would come on, social media and say, "Oh, well, he ain't nothing but a thief. He's a thug."
Or yeah, but or they come on and say, "Well, he's an adult now. He's responsible for his own actions." Blah
Yeah,
blah. That's what
yeah,
they would do.
yeah,
That's it.
yeah. Um, I mean, this what we're talking about with fairy tales and fables. This was their, I guess, part of their people's mainstream entertainment centuries ago.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Whether it was Europe or Asia or Africa, this was a form of entertainment, and I guess writers like Hans Christian Andersen and the Grimm brothers tried to slip moral stuff in there, kind of like how Rod Serling tried to slip, moral issues into the Twilight Zone episodes. You know,
structure. I said some sort of structure. So
yeah,
at least if you see danger coming, right? At least you know, oh, this is I know what this is. This is like that Anthony Fremont episode of the
Yeah.
Twilight.
yeah, yeah,
This guy sounds like he sounds petulant, like he wants everything to go his way, and if it doesn't, he'll hurt you and send you to the cornfield.
Yeah.
hmm
I don't like
And
corn like
so,
that.
yeah, I don't like corn like that. And so if you don't, you don't pay attention and you don't have any guidelines, then I
Mm-hmm.
mean, it's right there in front of you, right? It's
Yeah.
right there in front of you. All these fables and fairy tales and stuff, and all these
hmm
stories that have more morals to them. They're right there in front of you. No people have stopped reading them and watching these things, and and that's why this stuff like what's happening now is happening.
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I mean, this when you look at it, God bless them all. This is a writer. This was a writer and an author's job throughout the centuries
Mm-hmm.
to point things out.
But we
You
don't have
know,
that anymore. I don't think. I mean, we talked about this a couple of times when Jordan Peele had the Twilight,
right?
Zone, which is, to me, a platform to focus on society or reflect society and do the fable and the fantasy and the morality
Mm-hmm.
plays, and it didn't, except for that one with Sanaa Lathan in it. Other than that, it was like it just wasn't. It just was. I didn't see it. Let me put it that way.
And they
Well,
were
well
was it Twilight Zone? Was that Twilight Zone or something else? The one where they had the society and the men, they got
Twilight
affected
Zone.
by some sort of a
Twilight
uh,
Zone.
meteor or comet or
Twilight
something.
Zone.
At
It was
Twilight Zone.
it's Twilight
Yeah,
Zone.
and they started, being all,
It was Jordan Peele's Twilight Zone.
and they were, mean to women and
Yeah. And then they found out
sexually.
that it wasn't. Spoiler alert, I guess.
Hmm.
They found out that it wasn't a meteor or all that men was just like that all the time.
I really hated that one. I really hated it because I thought it was unfair to men,
Well, the thing is,
and I thought I mean, very unfair.
The
Very
thing to
unfair
me,
to me.
Penelope, is just because somebody's progressive doesn't mean that they're right all the time. And I think
Right.
people think that they just because they have progressive politics that they're like 100% right all the time on all the
Yeah,
issues.
yeah, I get that, and I said, but
Well,
And I
this,
think
I
that's what
think that
happened
he
with
had
that.
this, like you said, he has this opportunity, this this pulpit, in which from which to preach, and I think the thing to have preached on that pulpit was not that you're just incorrigible from the day that you were born. This is just how you are. People thought it was some uh, meteor made you all act this way, but no, this is just the way
Yeah.
you are.
what
I,
year? If I may, what year was that it came out? Jordan Peele.
But
What's that?
I think it came out during um the person who's in office now, his
Hmm.
his
first
first
term.
yeah. So it
Yeah.
was right. It was right for it. I mean,
Well,
it's
you know what? If all this was coming out during that person's first term, then opportunity was
Hmm.
missed
Yeah,
because
lost.
that's when you could have, I stated
arm
to
off,
Liz,
man. Yeah,
or you could have really kept Rod Serling's legacy alive.
absolutely.
I
Okay.
think to me is like now we're stuck going back 60 or 50 years to go back to the original Twilight Zone to try to get some morality or some direction because it's not there now. It just isn't there now.
Yeah.
We were
Yeah.
watching Penelope and I were watching like some of the old shows like
Hmm.
The Leslie Uggam show or
Hmm.
the other one. What's the other lady's name? I forgot her name.
Robert McNair.
Barbara and Sly and the Family Stone,
Mhm.
uh, Everyday People,
Mhm.
Man.
so on and so on, and Scooby Dooby Dooby, all that stuff, and Johnny Cash,
Cash, the man in black.
why he wears black.
Hmm.
All those things are old, but you got to revisit them because there's nothing new coming out that says this is the way people grow. This is the way civilized people and people who had empathy and care about other people. This is how they act.
Hmm.
Right. Right. Right.
There's nothing there. It's like this is how
Everything
you
now is
act.
money. How
Yeah,
much
this is how you act by
money?
beating the crap out of somebody else and taking their stuff and keep making it your own.
Yeah, and also the things too. Also for me, it's just like how your unhappiness. It is all related to something exterior. For instance, I'm too thin. I'm too fat. I ain't got no hair. My hair can't be tamed with a perm or something like that. Um, everything skin too dark, skin too light, whatever. It's always something, and it's physical, and it's something that you got to change about yourself in order to be happy. You know, it is never how I've got to fix the way that I view the world. I
Mhm.
have to become more kind, more thoughtful. I've become more dedicated to my work or to my hobbies or things that have meaning to me. Spend more time with my family. Spend more time with my friends. All of it is about something external that once I change this,
Yeah.
then I'll have the brass ring and all the time these things happen and people are
What
so
happened to
upset.
there's no empathy. I mean, it's like the Johnny Cash and the Man in Black thing.
Hmm.
Like giving to people who don't have. Who live on the side of town where they're challenged and stuff, and the
Hmm.
person who paid their time and for their crime in prison, but they're still there for some reason, and then all that stuff.
Yeah,
None of that stuff is being talked about at all. It's
and
all
it's
about
still going on and
how much
still going on.
influence, yeah,
No,
how much influence I can make, how much money I can make, and
well,
all that.
that's what it is, and you have to thank the internet and social media for that
Mhm.
because now it's almost like it's sinful not to have money.
Yeah,
It's sinful not to look.
Calvinism. There you are,
Uh,
Calvinism. That's
It's
yeah,
what it is.
yeah,
sinful to be poor.
yeah.
And I mean,
Okay.
that wasn't anywhere in the Bible I read.
Yeah, it's like God, and God said unto to Moses, "Kill all the poor people because God knows they're horrible." I don't remember that. I don't remember that being said,
Yeah.
it's like if you're poor, then you automatically committed a crime,
Mhm.
and all these fables and fantasies and fairy tales and stuff. People are poor. They try to get along, and they find a way to get along, and they're trying to find a way to make it. And I think that, like James said, it's entertainment for the people, for the masses back then,
Mhm.
but it's also to acknowledge the fact that I may not have everything, but it's okay. You know,
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
can still
I
make
can live happily ever after.
yeah
I don't have to do it in a palace. You
I
know.
think
Exactly.
I think
Exactly.
it is it's an idea that they changed the narrative. It used to be there was the let's say coming out of World War II, where everybody had an opportunity to do this, that, and the other, and you were going to succeed. And then you found out in real life that no, it didn't exactly work that way. So there were two narratives that reserved. The first reserve was, well, it's because somebody stole your opportunity. Now that
Mhm.
you weren't working hard enough, but somebody cheated you out of it, and that morphed into, but it's not your fault. It
Right.
could be that
yeah
you're not really qualified for whatever it is you wanted to do or wanted to achieve or wanted to get, or but it's just that, well, it's not your fault. They didn't change the rules. Like your basketball thing is height requirements were just
Yeah.
bad. You know?
Yeah.
do
I mean,
I mean, do you think a Cassius Clay could exist today the way he existed back in the day? I mean, he made a moral or ethical stand saying, "I'm not going to Vietnam because the Viet Cong never called me N-word. So that's one of the reasons I'm not going."
No,
he
he couldn't. He couldn't be. I mean, just
is
look
man in
at
the company
Colin.
like God.
Look
It's
at
man.
Colin Kaepernick.
Mhm.
Okay, that this
Absolutely.
that's what happened to Colin Kaepernick. What happened to Muhammad Ali?
Mhm. Absolutely.
Well,
Absolutely.
it's that you can get like 1 in 10 will manage to achieve. If you look at it now, with the thing about Jimmy Kimmel, is there are a lot of people that have turned against all of the parent companies and stuff, including a lot of the actors who had worked in Disney and programs. Damon Lindelof has said he can't work for Disney if they're going to uphold this. Pedro Pascal came out against them. Tatiana Maslany, and then the most recent one was Mark Ruffalo spoke out against them.
Yeah.
So there are people who do make a stand, and they can do it. And the thing about Ali was he managed to do it at a time when it would have been to his advantage not to speak out.
That's right.
Hmm.
To
Yeah, and it's
quietly
that.
just do what Master says quietly, but
Yeah.
Yeah,
he did not.
yeah, and I don't, and like James said about Colin Kaepernick, I mean, I think that Ali lost like 3 years. I'm not sure how
Hmm.
many years he lost, but they wouldn't give him a license to box,
Yeah.
Yep.
and so he lost a lot of money, and when he came back, his skills were
Had to
not
go.
what they were at the height of his career. But I think that I think you see athletes and stuff now. They don't want anything to do with Colin Kaepernick. They don't want to be Colin Kaepernick. They'll say anything that they think they need to say to keep that contract running. Some people said the View, for the last couple of days they didn't say anything about the cancellation of the Kimmel show. And when you look at that, one of the reasons I think contributes to that is the fact that Whoopi Goldberg basically said that she needs money. She's going to have to keep working for a very long time because her expenses are so high. So it's like if your expenses are so high and you need that job or you need that money, a lot of people are not going to put their money on the line to speak
Mhm.
out.
No,
Mhm.
they're not. They're not. And getting back to getting back to fables and fairy
Mhm.
tales, and with morals and
Mhm.
teaching moments. It's ironic. It's really ironic that you remember Bennett that worked in I think Reagan's administration.
Yeah,
He actually came out with a book of a retelling
a
of
children.
East,
Yeah.
yeah, a children's book of Aesop's fables. And
Have you read it?
no, I haven't read it. I'm just assuming that they would probably just reprints.
I don't
Mhm.
think they were. I think they were horrible.
You read
Yeah,
them? What did they
Yeah,
say? I mean, what were they? What was
I
the
think that I
book?
think they were. I think because they're Bennett and they're coming from somebody who was in the Reagan administration,
Hmm.
they were kind of restructured to show
Skewed
that. Hmm?
skewed toward Calvinist.
Yeah, they're
Um,
yeah.
well, that I don't know. I don't know whether they were
Because I looked at it.
reskewed.
Yeah, I looked at it. But that's my take on it. At least
Uh-huh.
that's my take on it. And the person who reviewed the book, that's what it was their take on it as well.
Right. But see, the main thing to me is that it was put out there.
mhm,
Yeah.
Maybe it was put out there at the wrong time. Maybe it's skewed.
mhm.
Maybe we need for a WBAI version of it.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Something.
But right now, something is needed.
We need
Okay.
something.
Yeah,
yeah.
something
I
is
mean, because the
needed.
thing is again, it reminds me of when Otto was telling me that he had watching the Keith Olbermann show, and Keith was saying that he was talking to one of his, friends who was a follower, I guess, of I'm not gonna say acolyte, but follower of Charlie Kirk, and the person was saying how, oh, this guy's religious and this saying that, blah blah blah. And Keith's like, what are you talking about? That guy is, misogynist and, the gun fanatic person and blah blah blah. And so the woman said, well, no, he's not. So she played the stuff that she'd been hearing from, the stuff that comes up in, her algorithm comes up with.
Right.
And he said, yes, saying all these things that non-objectionable, religious stuff. But then he played what was in his, and she sees all this horrible stuff. She said that she had no idea, never heard of it. And in fact, I think one of the issues that was brought out that the murder of the Minnesota, was it senator or
Right. Yeah.
congressman? They didn't
And
even know that happened. Wasn't in the algorithm.
No, yeah, because
Didn't even know that
algorithms.
was a thing that even
Yeah,
happened.
yeah. It keeps you in an echo chamber.
Absolutely,
It keeps
absolutely.
you it keeps you in the echo chamber. You also have to be careful on the date of news stories because
Mhm.
I saw on oh god, what is it? Microsoft Edge, whatever. They had in the news
Mhm.
on late last Labor Day that it was like 54 people shot and I think 3 to 7 people dead in Chicago over Labor Day weekend, right?
Mhm.
Now this is when Trump was bloviating about sending troops into
Mhm.
Chicago, right? Somebody now, mind you, that story was from like a year, 2 years ago,
Mhm.
but somebody mysteriously reposted that on this last on this Labor Day past weekend.
Mhm.
You
As if
know,
that's a thing that happened.
right? It's as if it happened in real time.
Right.
So yeah, the problem is
being played.
everybody,
We're
yeah,
being played, y'all.
Mhm.
and don't think that what one news outlet is doing, the other one is not doing. They're
Mhm.
they're, they're basically all doing it.
Yeah.
Okay,
Abs-
everybody has a slant. Even the BBC slants their stuff.
Mhm.
Well,
Well,
Okay,
programmed to believe now that anything. Well, we've been told that everything is instant. There's instant analysis and no time
hmm
for reflection.
Mhm.
how can you
Also,
do that?
we believe that anything that's online is right unless it
Mhm.
has a lot of typos in it. You believe that yeah, this is the truth, and you're not going to question it.
yeah,
Right. Right.
And the
I
thing
mean, I
is,
mean, I saw something just recently. Someone posted about somebody having um, a heart thing exterior from your heart, some sort of a device.
Oh
And
yeah.
yeah, and I looked at it and said, okay, let me see.
what is
I
that?
said, well,
A heart device outside of your body?
it's inside your body, but not at your heart. It's like at your shoulder, chest level. But I said, yeah, but I looked, I said, yeah, but this is like 2011. Have there
2011.
been,
14
Yeah.
years ago.
yes,
Yeah.
there ain't been any additional, improvements or anything. So people put these
Or
things out. What is
or
the
was it even true then?
I don't know, and that's another question. I
Yeah,
mean the person
I saw
died?
some.
They said, but didn't die of their injury. Didn't die of they died of the underlying disease, not from the thing itself.
Yeah, I saw an article. I saw an article. It was clickbait. I didn't click on it,
Mhm,
but it made believe that it was new, but it was from like early in 2023 or 24.
mhm.
And it said the Democrats have a Michelle Obama problem, and it's old. It's
Yeah.
old as
Why are you
hell.
posting that now?
Right.
Well, the other thing about these things is they will say something like that, and then they never say what the problem is.
No, no, they never say what it is because they got you already because you clicked on it.
Hmm.
But you go repeat that to somebody and say, "Well, there's a problem with and that and the thing is that
Hmm.
nobody actually well, you have to fact check everything, no matter what it is or who.
Yeah.
Exactly.
What do
Exactly.
you fact? But what do you
Fact-
fact? What are you using to fact check?
And that's the problem too, because if everything is, you know, manipulated, it's difficult then also to fact check things. Correct?
Well,
Yeah,
eventually, like a friend of mine I was talking with yesterday said, "Well, you know that they're going to make his birthday a federal holiday." I said, "What?" And I said, "Well, no way you can do that and stuff, no matter how much they do it." And it's like the changing things is they were having Steve Bannon. They were playing all these Steve Bannon clips talking about him. And the funny thing was, every time the subject would change, Steve Bannon would elevate his position. He went from being an important voice in the young conservative movement to the greatest person of this generation.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Forget the Pope and Valley and all this guy's the one you should listen to. And so I looked it up and found out that it wasn't made a holiday. It was just a day of recognition. They didn't even say whether or not it was going to be an annual occurrence or just a one time only thing. And it's definitely not going to be a federal holiday. But
and
if you
see the
check,
headline. The
yeah,
headline is enough
Mhm.
to get people angry.
well, the other thing is that somewhere in the first early paragraph of the story, they said the Senate unanimously approved this measure. Then two paragraphs down, it said not a single Democrat in the Senate voted for it. So how
Unanimous.
is
This stuff is, we're being played, guys.
yeah, so that's what it. So the thing is, you have to critically evaluate things, and before you get upset, no matter how much
Mhm.
you want to, is check it out. Track it down, and it's something that
But why do I need to do research? I mean, when Walter Cronkite came on the CBS Evening News and said XYZ,
Right.
I didn't go to Snopes to figure out did
yeah.
Walter
Well, the
Cronkite say.
Cronkite tell the truth.
Did he tell the
You
truth?
know,
Yeah, yeah, but where is Walter Concrete now? Where's Uncle Walter? He's not here no more.
that's
Well,
right.
thing is, so you have to tell yourself now if he was here, all of those guys from that thing, Peter Jennings, Huntley, and Brinkley, all of those guys. The question you have to ask yourself would be they be doing it because they were doing it as a service to the public and they felt it was their obligation to do it, or would they be doing it to see how many clicks they could get?
Yeah. So
I
this is
think
my
there are
job after
people.
all.
I
I
think
don't
there are
write the news.
people.
I don't write the news. I just recite it. Right.
I think there are people in the past. I think the Edward R. Murrows, the Walter Cronkites, especially. I think that they would not do that because of trying to get clicks. I
Mm-hmm.
just based on what I've seen, and
Collection.
yeah, I mean, these are people that been through all the McCarthy stuff and all the other
Mhm.
things like that. You know, a lot of these people that are doing this now, They've never been through this before. They don't know what this is, so they act accordingly. They act scared
Exactly.
and they
Exactly.
cave and they give in and they tell you how much money they're willing to accept. You get Stephanopoulos writing an apology letter, and could you imagine someone like Huntley Brinkley or Dan Rather or Walter Cronkite writing an apology letter to Richard
Nah,
Nixon?
they wouldn't. If you see, because you could go on YouTube, if you could see Walter Cronkite's reaction to certain things, you could tell it was genuine.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, whether it was um when Kennedy was assassinated, whether it was men landing on the moon, Walter Cronkite, people forget he soured on the Vietnam War because he actually went over to Vietnam,
Mm-hmm.
okay, and sat in a foxhole interviewing the soldiers. Okay, it wasn't him sitting behind the desk. He actually went over there is to find out what was
What is going
going
on?
on, you know. And so these reporters these days, like you said, they're all comfy cozy.
They're
You
just
know, they
reading the teleprompter.
yeah, they're just reading the teleprompter.
They're not
They're
going.
not they're not and plus they're not gonna stick their neck out.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
absolutely not. They're not going. They want those jobs. That's why they wrote an apology letter.
Yeah.
That's what
Mm-hmm.
what outrageous thing. Did you ever think that that would happen? Could you imagine Mike Wallace writing an apology letter
Nope.
Oh my
Nope.
lord, no.
petition?
No.
Well,
Even
No.
if he
it's
was wrong, he wouldn't write it.
No.
it's what happens. Also, it's what happens when business majors take over things that they don't.
It's become transactional. Everything's become about the money.
And yeah, the idea is that we can make money on the news, and
Mm-hmm.
therefore we're going to do things to make it attractive or whatever. And
Hmm.
But it's also like this. It's like I will let you do anything to me as long as you pay me the right amount.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I don't care what you do. You can do whatever. You can say whatever you want about me. You can come on you could come on a live television and just like hump my head. As long as I get paid, it's not going to matter. It's just you are allowed to do whatever you want to me as long as you pay the price.
Right.
Yeah.
well,
You
the other
know.
thing is that, and to show you how where it is, it's like let's say follow the money. Is that they said that the company that is putting all of the pressure on Disney, ABC to suspend Kimmel is trying to do a merger also, just not as big as the one that Skydance and Paramount was trying to do, but it's a merger too.
About merging inside licenses and stuff like that. That's what it is. It's money.
Yeah.
And then make they said that one of the things they wanted them to do was he could put Kimmel back on the air if he wrote a letter of apology, made a personal sizable contribution not only to the Turning Point America, but also made a sizable personal contribution to Charlie Kirk family. And the idea is to look at it as a business proposition that is cheaper to capitulate than it is to fight it, even if you could win these things if you did. It's just, Skydance looked at $60 million to settle that CBS lawsuit was cheaper than what they were going to make if they had an $8 billion deal to go with. So they've traded truth for dollar signs.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Well, I
that's
hope.
why
Well, I hope
that's
that Kimmel doesn't do it. But you know what can you say? He'll do what he's got to do, what he wants to do. I hope not that, but
No, I hope not. I hope he doesn't do none of that. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I hope while he's sitting at home, he's having conference calls with his lawyers. He's
Mm-hmm.
looking at his bank account. He's looking at maybe starting his own like podcast or something. You
Yeah.
know, but please don't Jimmy, don't cave into those people.
Would you? But here's a bitter pill to swallow. Would you be surprised if he did?
I'd be extremely disappointed if you did.
Or would you be surprised? So your answer is no. You wouldn't be surprised. You'd be disappointed.
No,
Yeah.
I would be surprised because enough is enough. I think if people see, here's the thing.
I mean, the thing is to me is that, I mean, I'm sorry to interrupt, but
Yeah,
here's the thing. But he was on their shit list already. Excuse my French.
Mhm.
yeah.
They were after him to begin with. He could have opened his mouth and said absolutely nothing, and they still would have said he said
Yeah.
something.
They still would have. They listen.
And what
He
did he say about Jimmy, about that guy who got shot that was so awful? He didn't say
He
nothing.
didn't say anything about him. Yeah.
He didn't say anything.
He
he
said,
didn't say
He
he
said
anything.
nothing.
said they're trying to make him part of their group.
But
They're trying to do everything. The person who shot that guy, they're saying they're trying to make him part of any other group other than that group.
Yep.
That's
well,
what
the interesting thing that they're really telling about it is every time since it's happened that they've asked the president about it. The one thing that he said was, and he said, "Can you really be that thin-skinned? Is it possible?" And the thing is, why do you support somebody who is? The one thing he said, and it said it several times, is every night they pick on me, and they can't do that. And they said, "Well, yes, they can do that, but that's what it is. It's all personal."
Yeah,
But
and it had nothing to do with that guy. They were just looking for an opportunity to get him. That's all it
little
is.
Anthony
eh,
Fremont. All right, it's a Twilight Zone episode that we mentioned months ago. Months ago,
Mhm.
you
and
know
I'm
this.
listen. I'm telling you, people need to wake up. These people, organizations, institutions need to wake up. This is how they like to bully people.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah,
how, and if you fight back a
all
little bit,
to the cornfield. I mean, look at that.
no, you're not. Some
Hmm.
listen. God bless Harvard, okay? Because Harvard is fought back and is fighting back,
No, they didn't.
okay? Yes, they
Capitulated.
did. No,
They
they no.
capitulated.
Columbia capitulated.
Harvard
Yeah.
did too.
No, they
James.
didn't.
No,
Harvard did
Harvard did
not.
not.
Look, they
Harvard
did.
did not. Harvard did not.
Look
They
it
It was
up.
fought.
it was
Harvard did not.
Columbia.
They
Harvard
did not.
didn't
The
run with
Harvard's the
Trump.
only
Didn't,
school
they
that
didn't
fought.
fall
Harvard.
for it.
I,
Thank
I,
you.
I
They
think they
did.
did. I,
But the
I,
thing
I
is,
Well,
okay. The thing is this: you say that they capitulate. They did not capitulate. I mean, they fought. You can fight and lose, but they
yeah.
didn't just say okay, whatever.
they
And this
fought
this this
for
is what I'm saying.
capitulated.
When you with a bully, when you punch that bully in the nose, they backs off. Okay, it's the same thing with tariffs. Okay, some of these countries have said no, we're not going with this tariff thing. Some of the countries have bent over and
Hmm.
didn't even ask for Vaseline. China, I'm no, sorry, Japan.
Hmm.
Japan just bent over and just took the ride.
Yep.
But you have other countries,
Yeah, because
especially like
Japan's the yen is weak,
yeah,
you know, and they couldn't take the hit.
yeah. Some can't take the hit. Some some can, and some fight back. Look at Canada.
Hmm.
Canada, Canada. Trump called himself. Oh, we're gonna make it a 50. When was the last time you heard him talk about the 51st state?
Yeah, never. After that, I mean, because they said, yeah, keep it up and see what happens to you.
Exactly. So this is what has to be done.
I
People
agree.
got it.
I want
People
to.
got
I want to see people do it. I want to. Too many people that I've seen sound like the people in the Anthony Fremont
Yeah. Oh,
episode.
Anthony, you're so smart.
Yes,
Mm,
yes.
yeah,
that was great TV,
I mean,
Anthony.
almost Penelope, almost word for word.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yep.
A lot of people don't know, but those two law firms that capitulated
Hmm.
right now they're pariahs in the legal world.
Hmm.
Okay, other law firms don't want to deal with them,
Well,
and
then
they didn't have to capitulate,
they
but
thought they wanted those contracts.
yeah,
You know.
Keep those government contracts coming.
yeah, and this and this
Who do you,
this
who do you
this
think? Who do you
this
think? Who do you think is doing these Skydance mergers and acquisitions? Who do you think is doing them?
These law
Those
firms.
those firms that capitulate. They're the ones that
Exactly. I
pay
know.
100,
I know.
$200 million in fees.
I know. They'll get their lawyers and our lawyers, and we'll sit down. We'll work out the merger.
Hmm.
Okay. But what I'm saying is that if you're in a position to fight back, then do it. That's what ABC and George Stephanopoulos didn't do.
Yeah, they said, just write that letter.
That's
Yeah,
what the
just
that's what the View didn't do because people on that cast are financially challenged. I mean, it's like when the Simpsons. I think they had a strike
Hmm.
and they were going to hold out for more money, but I think a couple of their cast members' voices, a couple of people couldn't hold out that long, so they had to.
yeah,
I mean, they came back with a better deal than they had before, but I think you remember Penelope. Some
Yep.
people they weren't financially situated. They had to come back.
Hmm.
listen. It's getting so that enough is enough.
Hmm.
Okay. For all I know, for all I know, and this goes to you, Penelope Cranston.
Hmm.
For all I know, that we could wake up the next day and they say, "Oh, okay, well, certain people that have titles
Hmm.
in the Library of Congress, we're gonna purge those people."
Yeah.
Hmm.
Okay, and trust me, they've already with Project 2025. They already talk about they're going after people that write romance novels.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Well, anytime you get somebody who says they're going to have to redo the exhibits in the Smithsonian because they're
yeah,
emphasizing how bad slavery was.
yeah. Look what happened this week, where Trump wrote a executive order that he wants any pictures of slavery. You know the famous picture of the black man with the ripped up back
Yeah.
from being
Yeah.
whooped. That's being taken off any government site.
Yeah. But you
Okay.
know what though? You know what the problem I have is, and I know we're getting a little far afield and probably losing time as well. But I told Penelope this. Problem is if Harriet Tubman, if Donald Trump wanted I'm gonna say his name, the guy who's in the White House now, if he wanted Harriet Tubman on a $20 bill, it would have happened already. We talked and talked. We had Democratic presidents in office who wanted to put Harriet Tubman on the $20 bill. It never happened. I want to know why. Why is that?
Why?
Yes.
Okay, you seem to forget about the southern half of these here United States.
But you know what? It was all teed up, right? It was
Well,
all teed up, and we had a majority. And
well,
so why is it that these certain people could get their awful policies and procedures and everything else turned around on a dime? And we talked about Harriet Tubman getting on the $20 bill back in 2008, 2009.
Well,
well,
I,
Yep.
I,
the
I,
reason the
yeah.
reason is because if you put her on the 20, you'd have to take the person off the 20 on the 20 now off. And the current president has a bust of that guy in his office.
I know that. I know that. But what I'm saying is, why is it that we always want to stick our toe in the water and stick our wet our fingers and stick it in the air to see which way the poles are going, and in certain maniacs it doesn't matter.
Yeah, but that wasn't sticking our fingers in the air or toes in the water. I could have told you that as long as we have a southern, okay, a southern president on that $20 bill, you were gonna get a fight coming from the south because that's
That
one of their
wasn't.
I'm
populous
going to tell
areas.
you, in all honesty, half the people in the United States have no idea who's on the 20. They have no idea where he's from. They
Well,
don't.
that's who that is. And the thing is that even in this guy's first term, he had the opportunity. The '86 Harriet Tubman and then he came up with a bunch of holy nonsense about putting Andrew Jackson on something on the back and Tubman on the front or something like that.
Yeah.
But we had 3 terms of Democratic presidents and Congress and Senate. I'm sorry. We are guilty. The people who represent us or claim to represent us are inactive and slow and too cautious to
Mm-hmm.
lead anybody to any sort of thing that's going to be meaningful in our lives.
Mm-hmm.
And
Wait,
somebody
wait.
wants to cause damage. It seems like they just stab us in the face right now. They're like stab. You know,
Well,
they don't
you know
pause.
what? You
They
know
don't
what?
pause.
That's why I'm an independent
Okay.
because Democrats,
Stabbed in the face.
Democrats is the constant circular firing squad.
I mean, well,
Okay,
I would agree with you, except for this. It may be circular, but it's not a firing squad. No one will pull the trigger.
No,
That's
they're
the
okay,
problem.
right. They're
and see,
trigger.
my thing is this: right now, as we speak, this is what's going on with this whatever in the White House. This is what has to be focused on now.
Yeah.
Okay, we could talk about Harriet Tubman, and I'm gonna tell you, just almost as many people don't know who Harriet Tubman is.
Mm-hmm.
See, but the problem with that is they're trying to erase her completely.
Mm-hmm.
This is what we have to focus on now, not about 2008 and all that with Jackson and her on the $20 bill. Because half the time, people, as long as the shit's, as long as the nomination says 20,
No, I
that's all
agree.
people care
But
about.
it
But we
just
have no. What I'm saying to you is, we have to focus on now.
no,
Forget
I
about what
agree.
was done
And
in
I
2008 and all that. There, the
I
I don't
house
agree.
think
is
that you
on fire
can.
now.
I know
I
the
The-
house
agree.
is on fire now, but things that would pass as prologue. If
Right.
we
But I'm
are.
saying,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, what I'm saying is if a criminal or somebody wants to harm you and they stab you in the face, they're not going to take a pole. They're not going
Yeah.
to stick their toe in the water, stick their finger in the air.
Should I do that or not?
Right. And somebody
Mm,
who wants to, it seems like people who wants to, if a certain party wants to do things to help people, is all this polling and all this thinking and all this.
Just do it. Just
Just
do it.
just do it. If you
well,
Stop
want to kiss,
the.
if you want to kiss somebody, it should be easy as killing somebody.
well,
Yeah.
this is why I say ad nauseum. This is why I'm in the independent.
But
But
you're
This
what
is
are
you're
this
you
is
gonna do?
why no let me
But what are
let me let me
it's
let me finish.
you.
Let me put the cherry on top of the ice cream. This is why this mayoral election I said I was going to vote for Andrew Cuomo.
Mm-hmm.
He's not getting my vote.
Mm-mm.
Okay, because of the mere fact that he said, and mind
I hear
you,
he's acting up now too.
Yep.
I say a pox on both houses. But when
Mm-hmm.
he said that he would, if Netanyahu was to go to the Hague, he would be his defense lawyer.
Oh, we're done with that.
Hmm.
And
Okay,
Madani said, but Madani said if he comes, Netanyahu comes to New York City, he would put him in handcuffs.
Yeah.
exactly,
Good.
exactly.
Good.
So
Okay,
the thing is, one guy said boom, and another guy said bullshit.
Right.
right,
Another,
right.
so that's I want somebody
I'm
who's
gonna
you know
say boom.
stab me. Yeah, just
All right,
do
now
it.
look, we got less than 5 minutes to finish up, and so we're gonna say thank you all very much. It's a great topic that we never touched on hardly, but we'll
We
get
did,
back
we
again
did, we
next
did.
week. Our topic is going to be what is that? Starring instead, about the different roles that we see. I've seen as iconic, but who else it was that was thought of that could play it, or who else we thought could have played it better. Um, so that's where we are. Thank you all so much for being here with us this afternoon. Take care of yourselves. Have a wonderful remainder of your weekend and a very productive week. And so long. Y'all can say so long too.
Bye. See you. Wouldn't want to be you.